Abe Lincoln is still the most written about and one of the most talked about presidents, even 150 years after his death. Now, both Republicans and Democrats still trying to glom onto his legacy, and the Pope even mentioned him more than once during his recent visit to the U.S. Now, RFL executive producer Larry Epstein, he's got a local Lincoln story.
Thanks, Rich. This is a story I really wanted to tell because it's a story that nobody really knows about. Lincoln visited Westchester County once and once only, and he picked Peekskill of all places.
This year marks the 150th anniversary of the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln.
It's fair to say that the presidency of this singular figure who we celebrate in so many ways made my own story possible.
Even 150 years after his death, popes and presidents are still talking about him, authors are still writing about him, and Americans are still fascinated by him. But when you think of Lincoln, I bet you think about Gettysburg, Springfield, Illinois, or even Ford's Theater, not Peekskill, New York. But perhaps you should. John Testa, president of the Lincoln Depot Museum in Peekskill, explains why and what happened here.
Well, he stopped in Peekskill because he was in Congress in the 1850s with a local Peekskill resident, William Nelson, who was a lawyer. He was a congressman who served with Lincoln, and they became friendly. So at his request, knowing that he would be taking this inaugural trip from Springfield and stopping in various locations, Mr. Nelson asked him if he would make Peekskill one of his stops, and he did. He made it the only Westchester stop, actually.
What did he say when he stopped here?
Well, he had a couple-minute speech, and he basically had segments of the speech you can hear in various locations that he spoke along his way. But he basically just asked for sustaining hands was the one phrase that came away with the community, to watch over him and pray for him and hope that he can be successful, because if he was successful, then the country would be successful.
President-elect Lincoln stopped here, and he spoke right around here. The train pulled up right behind this building I'm standing in front of. 4 years later, it was a very different time, a very different country. Country was in mourning, Lincoln was dead. The funeral train stopped in Peekskill again on the way back to Springfield.
In Westchester, Peekskill again was honored by having the train stop for 10 minutes.
What was the atmosphere here?
It was very, very solemn and sad. You know, Peekskill, he did not win Peekskill in his election. Re-election was different, but it still was an area that was not really a friend of his in the beginning. But everyone, as the rest of the country who got to know him, they loved him. And when his funeral train stopped, it was a very solemn time. It was very, very quiet. People who wrote about it said nobody said a word.
Now Lincoln's historic visit to Peekskill is immortalized at this old depot that's now a museum on South Water Street.
We were lucky to have this building preserved over the years to the point where it was not dilapidated to the point where it fell down or it wasn't torn down. And when I was mayor of Peekskill, we were able to obtain the building through grants. We purchased the building, and then through Governor Pataki's ability as governor to get us the grants to restore the building, and then over time we actually created the museum you see today. We have quite a number of artifacts. Some of them are Lincoln directly related. We have one document that Lincoln signed that was for raising of troops during the course of the war. Lincoln and the military needed troops raised in various locations in the country. New York was one of the biggest that supplied troops to the conflict. And we have one of his original documents requesting more troops for a certain district in New York. Our focus in this museum is Lincoln, obviously, but also New York and its contribution to Lincoln himself, his campaigns, as well as the Civil War.
I wanted to give a special thanks to John Testa for his hospitality. And also, if you want to learn more about the place, go to LincolnDepotMuseum.com.
Really neat spot. I'm curious, what beyond what we saw there, what else happens at the depot?
Besides a functional museum, they also have lectures, they have movies. Pretty much everything is about Lincoln or about the history of Lincoln going there, but also about Lincoln's entire presidency, his career, and a lot of things people are interested in. So you could visit there, again, lectures, films, receptions.
Right. Now, you're a self-avowed Lincoln geek here, so there's nothing
Total
wrong
Lincoln
about
geek.
that. But you don't have to be one to really get something out of this, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Absolutely not. They have beautiful statues, beautiful artwork, and just the fact that everyone basically is interested in Lincoln, and the fact that he visited Westchester County, I think, fascinates people, because I didn't even know about it until I visited the place a few years ago and saw them reenact his visit. That's how geeky I am. I saw the reenactment of his visit, a guy in a stovepipe hat saying his speech.
In Peekskill, who knew?
In Peekskill.
All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have your headlines. Stay with us.